Welcome to Made for More. I am your host, Holly J. Moore. And as always, I am joined by my producer, Aaron Bender.
A very good day to you, Holly. By the way, I wanted to say, your Instagram lately, fire. Fire. And it's not like...
I don't know about that.
Well,
not fire in a good way.
It's not all glitz and glamour all the time at Holly J. Moore on Instagram. Lately, especially in the last, I'd say, week or so, a lot of just like, you know what, let's break down the walls here. Fourth wall be damned. I'm just going to tell you how life really is sometimes.
Yeah.
A lot of challenges.
A lot of challenges, And I always, it's scary to post that. It's much easier to post the glitz and the glam, but I do want to be authentic. I don't want everybody just to see the great, grand, and glorious things. I think it's important and also a little bit like cathartic for me to just get real. And I had a super challenging week, and on multiple fronts, like. Lots of stuff was going on, but they're all challenges that are not unique to an entrepreneur or a business owner, or really to a human being. I mean, it's life, right? Like life be lifing sometimes.
And this is a lot of the stuff that you share with your bestie who is on the show today.
Yes, my bestie is on the show today, Jennifer Gore-Cuthbert. She's an amazing person. We met through a coaching program about 6 years ago now. So we are both kind of on the same path. But she inspires me every day, and she challenges the crap out of me, which is one of the things that I really appreciate about our friendship because not many people do that. So I'm excited to get to talk to her. Jen, hi.
Hi, Holly.
So we have done the first segment. We already let the cat out of the bag that you and I are besties, so we can cut the crap and just chat. We don't need to be formal and all this nonsense.
It's going to be like an inside scoop to our normal phone calls.
Exactly. Yes. I mean, let's not, go full tilt, but but yes, for the most part, yes, Jen. Yeah. Okay, so Jen, genuinely, thank you for being on Made for More. You are a very accomplished businesswoman and lawyer yourself. And of course, I always love our conversations because you're so insightful, you're very intuitive, and of course, you're brilliant as well. So I just want to jump right in to what do you think is the most challenging thing in business?
In scaling a business, like growing a business, I would say your leadership development and managing and dealing with people.
It seems like you're weighing your words, Jen. This is not the Jen that I talked to on the phone.
People, I think it's well known in most business circles that the biggest challenge to growing any company is the ability to attract and retain top talent, right?
Yeah.
That is the biggest challenge.
100%. Yeah. Aaron and I were just talking, I've had quite a week, but really it's like an average week for an entrepreneur. But of course, so many different issues are going on. One of them being people issues.
Always have people issues. And, I think you almost have to come to expect that's part of what you sign up for when you become a business owner, entrepreneur, law firm owner, whatever. And I think you and me talk a lot about how you have to have really thick skin to be able to do what we do. And to be a leader in any company, I think you have to develop the ability to, move from failure to failure without losing your enthusiasm.
It's so true, yes. Because it is really just, one failure after another. But hey, if you're not failing, you're not trying, right? Don't you agree with that?
Yeah, I had someone I reached out to last night. I was dealing with an issue here, and they were like, this is all the signs of high growth.
Yeah, as you're giving the laundry list of challenges and failures. Yeah.
Welcome to the game.
Welcome to the game. Exactly. Yeah. This shit is not for the faint of heart. That's for sure. Like, yeah.
Yeah, but it also like forces you to become like a stronger leader. It forces you, like I always am like, I need to reframe this because this is like going to be a massive up level.
Mm.
It also, like we had a business coach that we both, that's how we met, right? And
Yes.
he used to say like the best part about building a business is the person you get to become.
Mm.
Like you would never become this person and like if you didn't go through all this stuff.
Yes, that's so true. That's really interesting because that really relates to a conversation that I had with a divorce recovery coach. And it was like very much the same concept where it's like you have to go through the darkness to have the transformation and growth. And I literally haven't made the correlation until right this second, but it's very much the case with business as well. Is like you have to have the failures, you have to have the challenges in order to have the growth. And when you only until, and I think we share this viewpoint because it's both from our business coach mentor, that it's like you have to have the personal growth before you have the professional growth, because you have to basically become a different person to up level your business.
Yeah, and you have to become less reactive. Like, how many times, Holly, has someone walked in your office and resigned?
Yeah.
And
Right.
like, it's hard. It's hard to receive that news.
Yeah.
Um, when
I
I
used to
was,
cry because I used to feel like it was a boyfriend breaking up with me. And I literally used to cry, Jen. I mean, I kept my game face on in the moment, but then after I would shut my door and I would cry. And now, I
I
mean,
know.
I feel pretty numb to it now, but I don't know if that's just I don't necessarily know that that's me evolving or just becoming numb to it as like a coping mechanism.
Desensitized.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
desensitized.
do think there's a level of desensitization, even for leaders and managers. I know we have a ton of managers and leaders in our firm, and it does get less stressful when it's not the only person in that department. Like the worst
Right,
case scenario is when someone quits and they're the only one in the company that can do that job.
right.
So like if you have a couple people that can kind of shift the work, it's less stressful.
Yeah,
And so that's been one of our driving forces to grow is like I don't want to have one person in any department because they could need to move, they could be run over by a bus, they could get something, another opportunity. And so even maybe they love your company but they have to leave,
right.
and then you're stuck holding the bag and you've got to figure out who's going to do their job and no one else is in the company trained to do it. It's very stressful. That's why I think it's harder to run a smaller company than a bigger company.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, the buck always stops with the owner, right? It stops with us. So it's like, if there's nobody else to do the job, hello, you're looking at that person that's going to be doing that job. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super tough. And I think that's the great thing about building leadership in your company is that there are like levels of people that can step in before it has to come to
Right.
me to have to do it.
For sure.
But I just don't know. We have lots of friends that run law firms and companies. I've never heard anyone who's like, yeah, just the people part is so easy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They say, what do they say? You don't have business problems, you have people problems. Like it always
Yeah.
comes down to the people. Yeah.
Or leadership problems. And you try to learn and grow from all of those problems, but
Yeah.
there are some things that I just think candidly, certain people in certain seats in the company can't appreciate and don't understand.
Right. Yeah. Because
You know?
they're just looking at it from a different perspective.
Mhm.
So, okay, talking about leadership, talking about people, the people in any sort of organization, do you think there are any challenges that are unique to being like a woman boss, a woman leader?
I think, when I was younger, I had imposter syndrome. I don't know. Did you? I think you said you had that as well.
Had? What are you talking about, Jen? Like it's an everyday thing.
Okay.
Wait, well, hold on. Like, have you figured out a way to overcome this and you have not told me?
I really don't suffer from it really much anymore.
Yeah.
I will say. I'm gonna be 40 this year. I feel like I don't know, like when you do something for a while, you've been a lawyer for a long time, Holly.
Yeah.
Like at some point you're like, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. I
first
did
of
this. I
all,
can do this. I am doing this.
yeah, and also like I've seen so many people that I think when I was younger, I looked up to people and I thought they were so much more superior than they were. And then you kind of like see behind the curtain over the years and you're like, everyone's just doing their best. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I used to like, I don't know if you did this, but I like would look up to certain attorneys and like think that they were so far beyond where I was. And then like, you know, you kind of recalibrate and
Yes.
also like, I don't I don't think I know everything at all. Like, but I think I'm very resourceful and I feel like I can figure anything out if you give me enough time.
Yes. So thank
So that,
you for making that segue because you co-authored a book,
yes.
Tiger Tactics. And in your book, you say, one thing I've come to realize is that no matter how much I think I know, in a few years, I'll probably look back and realize how little I knew. We must be open to the ways our vision will change as opportunities beyond our wildest dreams can come unexpectedly at a moment's notice. The only true security you will ever have is your ability and willingness to adapt and change to whatever you come up against.
This is, I know you feel the same way because we laugh about this. Like, have you looked at your content from 3 years ago?
I didn't have content 3 years ago, Jen.
Well, even
Actually, no, that's not true. I did. And yes, it is very cringy.
it's cringy.
It's so
But,
cringy.
like, that to me is a sign of growth.
Yeah.
Like it, and actually, like I just the other day was looking at pictures of like my old office, and I was like, God, I would hate to be in that office.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking about like in 5 years, I'm gonna think this place is horrible.
Right. Yeah.
Like I don't know what's wrong with my personality where I'm like, oh, it's so horrible. Like it's like I'm like disgusted.
Yes. Well, you and I sort of share this, I guess blessing and curse is that we are so driven. And some people would say that would also mean you're never content.
Never.
Never.
Always hungry. Always hungry.
Always hungry. Yes. Always trying to get to the next level. But okay, so back to what you said about imposter syndrome. So what I've been sort of chewing on in my mind is like, I don't think I have imposter syndrome because I don't even think of myself as the thing. You know what I mean? Like I'm just Holly. Like, so I'm like, I'm not being an imposter with Holly. But what I've realized too is like when you keep sort of leveling up, you have these moments where you're like, like now I'm doing that. Like I'm doing that thing. Like
that was way up here in my mind over here.
Right. Yes.
So you're like, I think it's like confidence comes from creating and achieving, like creating goals, achieving. Like I kind of feel like if we've consistently set a goal and achieved it, like over time you start to become confident, like, yeah, if I put my mind to this, it's going to happen.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah, for sure. Yes.
The imposter syndrome in the legal space, though, really, I think comes from a different place, which is that it's a very patriarchal, like field where there's this feeling that even if you're a lawyer for 50 years, like, there was kind of this like mindset for years that like you had to practice law for so long to even be qualified.
Right.
And I think that was harmful to a lot of people. And I get it. Like when you're just starting out, like there's a lot of things I know now that I didn't know when I was just starting out, but I always knew who to call. I always knew how to figure it out. And then at one point I just started hiring lawyers that were smarter than me.
Well, yes. One of the things that I think that I admire you for that I am not there yet is like, not that we should ever find our identity in a label, a title, or whatever, but like you don't and maybe have never really identified as a lawyer. Like you are like full on boss babe, CEO, like coming out of the womb. And so from the outside looking in at you, like, I don't think you've had to really like overcome this thing of like, oh, if I'm not in court every day anymore and I'm not winning cases, like, who am I? What will I be? You know, what is my worth? Like, I don't think you have that issue because you don't identify as a lawyer. Is that true?
Totally true. And I think knowing you so well, like I know you are like a true trial lawyer
Yes.
and you are, you know, live and breathe and die being in the court. I think also your practice area, like family law is much more in the court. Personal
Right.
injury, like 85% of the cases settle outside of court.
Yeah.
So just statistically, my practice area is less court driven.
Right.
So, you know, you could be settling multi-million-dollar cases and not even going into a courtroom.
Yeah.
But I will say one of the things that, you know, I've faced as criticism over the years is that people will say, well, because I'm so removed in so many ways and I have tons of lawyers working here, running cases, they'll, you know, I've had people over the years say, like, you're not a real lawyer, or, you know, but it's crazy to me. Literally, we were talking last night, and people will still say that to you. So I'm
Yeah.
just kind of like, people are always going to have their point of view about
Oh
what
yes,
you are.
yes, they say. I see what you're saying. They say it to me because of the way I look. Like, you must not be a real lawyer. You have blonde hair. How could you possibly be a lawyer?
Blue suit, like
Right.
you're, you know, you look so pretty, and it's like, you know, and then it's like for me, it's like, well, you're not in the courtroom enough, and you're so removed from the law that
Right.
you're not a real lawyer. It's like no matter. I just realized a long time ago, like no matter what you do, someone's gonna have a negative opinion
Yeah.
about it.
Haters
So you
gonna
just
hate.
do what makes you happy. And I also think results are results.
Yeah. Yeah. That was like the reel that I think I shared with you the other day, or I posted or something. It's like
Oh, true.
scorecard, but
Yeah, so
yeah.
that's the
Just look at the
thing. It's like,
scorecard.
and it's like, it's so funny. I don't know if this happens to you, but like in certain circles, people, like especially circles I run in with other law firm owners, other, you know, business people, they'll be like, Jen, you're so amazing. Like, you're such a great business person. And then if I hang out with just straight lawyers that just work, you know, maybe at a law firm, like they don't relate to me, you know,
Right.
and they're like, you know, just different people are going to have different perspectives based on where they're coming
Yeah.
from. And I just think you can't get tied up in that.
Right.
Like, you have to stay. I think one of the greatest messages that you share all the time is like staying authentically you. And like, whether you believe in spirit or God or whatever, like, you were designed with certain gifts and strengths. And like, it is your job to hone those and harness those and like understand you were designed exactly like the way you were meant to be.
Yeah.
And like,
Absolutely.
you know, part of my strength, like one of my strengths is bringing in a lot of business. Like, I can bring in a lot of business. I'm good at marketing.
Yeah.
And there's tons of lawyers out there that can't bring in any cases.
Yes. Okay. But speaking of your strengths, so one of the things that you do that nobody else in my life, except maybe our mutual business coach, is you challenge people and you like go to the mat with people. It's like, Jen, you know, I think the sky is blue today. And you're like, well, Holly, why do you think that? What story is in your head that is causing you to believe the sky is blue? Like, are you sure? And so, like, why are you like that, Jen?
I'm trying to choose my battles nowadays.
Oh, are you doing that less?
I'm like, oh, I don't know if I need to get into this one, but with my close friends, yes.
Yeah.
I think it's just my nature. I think it's how I was raised. I feel like my parents always challenged me. Like, I remember at the dinner table, we would always like talk about like very controversial topics. And my dad would always play devil's advocate with me as a kid, and I would be like, "Do you really think that, or are you just playing devil's advocate with me?"
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's where it comes from, but also I really feel with my friends and the like people that are closest to me, I'm doing it from a place of like I truly like love you and I want the best for you, and I feel like you have a major blind spot.
Right. Well, I mean, you know, as you and I know, like the truest form of love and the truest form of care is to tell somebody something they don't want to hear. Because at that point, you are actually more concerned about them than yourself. Because the easy way out is to tell our friends, our loved ones, whatever, you know, whoever it is that you're talking to. The easy point and the most selfish perspective is to just tell them what they want to hear, because we're worried about them continuing to like us. Like, we're worried about, you know, okay, we want a good response. So actually, like, the truest form of love and care as a friend, as an employer, as a spouse, or whatever the case may be, is to actually give someone the truth, challenge them on their beliefs, on, you know, whatever's going on, because it's the most unselfish thing you can do, because you may get backlash, right? Like, I mean, I think I've been around, you know, in scenarios where you're challenging somebody and they're like, oh, that Jen, like, oh,
yeah, I know.
She's a lot.
I will say, like, in my life, the moments that like changed my life were certain conversations that some of our coaches have had, some of my current coaches. Like, you know, you have a conversation with someone and they're like, you know, they bring something up that maybe you hadn't wanted to consider or you were ignoring, and then like that conversation sits with you and you're like, no, they're right.
They might have been right. 100%.
And then it like sticks with you, and then like it like makes you change your life.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, a lot of people that I'm around will tell me like it's a lot of people that will tell me, oh my God, you said something that changed my life. And so I think like my goal in life is to, similar to yours, is to empower and like help people to get to their best lives, you know, because I don't know, I think that's been a common passion between us.
Right.
And I see you doing that, and I see you leading your life in a way where you inspire people. And you know, it's just like I almost can't help myself. Like, I want people to live their best lives. And recently I've had this conversation with one of my mindset coaches, and he was like, you know, Jen, not everyone's designed to like, you know, live like you or Holly, you know?
Right.
Like, everyone is designed with their own purpose, and these, you know, this is our purpose, but not everyone is designed, you know, we need people that are all different flavors, all different purposes. And so that's been hard. Like, sometimes it doesn't make sense to me why people don't want to live their best lives.
Well, that was going to be my next question, is like, okay, when you are talking to someone who's like, yeah, like, I'm content, like, I'm, you know, I'm fine, I don't need any more, I don't want any more. I mean, does that like stir up something in you where it's like, no, you have to want more? Like, what do you do with that?
My old life, yes. My Jen 2017 to the mat. You know? Nowadays, I'm just like, this person's not seeking my advice.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really, because it's a lot of wasted energy to try to push people when they're not even like really looking to move.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
I love talking to people that are like, oh my gosh, you inspired me. Like, how can you help me? Like, people that are actively trying to grow. I think you can really make more change there than trying to and it's also like a little too much to be forcing your agenda on other people.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my evolution here.
This is 2024, Jen.
I'm evolving. You know.
Well, that's the goal for all of us, is to evolve.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So one of the things I want to touch on, because you touched on it in the book, and of course you and I have talked about it so many different times, is you talk about how, you know, as leaders, as growing, as the owner of a very fast growing law firm, like, you have to have support. And particularly, I know with you, you love domestic support. Like, when the rest of us are going out buying a Chanel bag, you're like hiring another person for your house staff.
Yeah, I do.
So
I hate domestic chores.
But I think it goes a little deeper than that, don't you think? Like, I think you're like, no, I just don't want to ever wash a dish.
Tell me what you think, because you know me.
Yeah.
What do you think it goes deeper?
I think you are really, I think one of your maybe like core values as a person is efficiency.
Oh, it is. It is. And in personal injury, efficiency is like
Is
the creme de
everything.
la creme.
Yeah.
Like if you're not efficient, it's actually almost the opposite than some other areas of law where people do billable work.
Yeah.
The quicker we can do things more efficiently, we get paid faster
Right.
and our
Yeah.
client cases get moved. So
Yeah.
it kind of goes in all areas of my life. Efficiency is like one of our core values of our law firm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hate like wasting time doing things that could be paying somebody else to do and employing
Right.
someone and giving them a great job
Yeah.
that I don't even want to do.
Right. So, but the reason why I wanted to touch on this though is because I think amongst other moms, amongst women, amongst, certain communities of people, like there's a lot of judgment about having like domestic staff.
I don't give up. Like literally, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, and you know what's crazy? I could bring you back to 2018, and I was hysterical over this. I used to like, I was really upset over this. Like, I felt
You
so
mean like you
judged.
cared at that point?
I cared, and like, I was getting a lot of negative feedback from family members, like, why do you have so many people working here? Or,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And like, I think that I've done a lot of work in this area and I truly, or I'm just getting older.
Jen, you talk like you're so old. Like you are like
Oh,
you're barely 40.
But everybody always says I'm always living 10 years in the future. So
Mm,
that's like my thing. Like
yeah.
I'm always thinking like, like older. But what I would say is that I really truly don't care. If someone
Yeah.
has a problem that I have a housekeeper or a nanny or an assistant, like why why do I care?
Right. Yeah.
Like it's what I want to do. I'm good with it. Like what my message is really on this issue is you have to get right with you.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're in alignment with what you're doing, like you feel like, yes, I love this.
Yeah.
Yes, because I told you about the post that I posted on
Yes.
Nextdoor to get my current assistant.
Yes.
I wrote a long wish list of everything I would want of my executive assistant, and it was like everything. And I posted it on Nextdoor, and it went viral. It got like 800 hits. People went off.
Yeah. They
They
were
were
so
like,
angry with you.
they were like, this is what I do. Should my husband pay me? You need a wife. They were, yeah,
Yeah.
unbelievable. Who do you think you are? And I just was like so good with it after all this because then what ended up doing, like that post went so viral that somebody saw it and sent it to her mom, who
Okay.
is now my assistant.
Oh my God, I love it.
And I would have never got her if I
Yeah.
didn't really put out into the universe what I really wanted. And
Yeah.
then she was totally, she's like, right, reading it. And she's like, oh, I already do all these things for
Yeah.
someone else. And
Right.
she was looking for a new role. And so I think you've got to, like, another thing you talk about, Holly, all the time is being unapologetic about who you are. And like, I'm okay that I'm not like everyone else.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be like everyone else. I'm Jen. This is what I like. This is
Mm-hmm.
what I need. This is my version of reality.
Yeah.
And I get to do it how I want to.
Yeah. But Jen, the thing, so I think I'm with you. Like, and I feel like it's taken a bit for me too, because there is the fear of being judged. But the thing that kind of like still gets me is the people that are like, well, you have so and so to do that. Like somebody else is doing the laundry, somebody else is doing this. I don't have that. I can't have that. Like, do you ever get that? And does that bother you?
And this is where my challenging personality comes in. And I go, but you could.
Okay, that's what just like grates on my nerves. I'm like, you can have anything you want out of life, right? Like nobody's stopping you except yourself.
Yeah, and I just redirect them to that reality.
Yeah, but do they acknowledge that?
It's not my problem.
Yeah, right. ZFG, I love that.
Like
Oh, that's
literally,
good.
it's not my job to make you get on my train. I'm just here living my life and I'm doing what's
Right.
right for me and my family and my personal development and it's working for me. So like there's a there's just too many ideas out there that we're all the same and everything's going to work, the same for everyone. Do what's right for you. Um, but I am against people like living and complaining, complaining about all these things that they're not intending to solve.
Right. Yes. That's
Just
very true.
accept it. You're not going to hire an assistant. You're not going to have all this time freed up. Just stop talking about it.
Right. Well, because you and I both know, because we've done some similar mindset work and personal development, the reason those complaints are still in their life is because it's serving them in some way, right? Like, because when
Yes.
things don't serve us anymore, we delete them from our lives, we handle them, we resolve them, we get rid of them. But we hold on to the stuff that serves us, maybe because it allows us to stay in a victim mentality, maybe because it gives us an excuse, but like we hold on to the things that serve us.
Yeah, and like, me and you are not perfect. Both of us
What?
are
Shut
still a
up.
work
Yes,
in
we
progress.
are.
Well,
I'm
we're
just
more
kidding.
perfect. I
No,
say
we are
all
not perfect.
to say that, people see people like us who are striving to live our best lives, and then there can be judgment about that. It's like,
Yeah,
you think you're perfect. Listen, I am not perfect. I am
right.
constantly saying I'm a work in progress. I know you're saying that.
Yes.
But I'm on my path,
Right.
and I feel good that I'm doing the best that I can do right now.
Yeah,
And I don't spend a lot of my life complaining.
right.
If something is a complaint for a certain period of time, I try to change it.
Yeah.
And that's the best you can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's why we gravitated towards each other because you're so positive, you're always pushing forward, and like, I know you're dealing with challenges, but you're not going to let those challenges just like get you down.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
We have to maintain our relentless optimism.
Relentless at all costs. Yes.
And I love that you've embraced your own uniqueness, Holly. Like, I remember when I first met you, like, you always dressed more unique. And, like, you always wear things that are super Holly, like, they're a very particular style. And even your house is a particular style. Like, every area of your life is very Holly. And I think that's inspiring. I think a lot of people don't take the time to develop and ask themselves, like, what do I really like?
Yeah.
What speaks to me? What makes
Yeah.
me feel inspired? And I think you've mastered that in a lot of different areas.
Thank you, Jen. That was really like the first podcast episode that we did with Lily Shepherd. That really became like the theme of that episode is like people just don't even know what brings them joy. People don't know what they want. They've never stopped and taken the time to even like think about it. What brings me pleasure? What brings me joy? What do I want out of life? And everyone just kind of goes along in autopilot and kind of creates this life that they think they should have created because of some other thing that was imposed on them or, stories in their own head. And yeah, that's just not for me. I don't think that's for you either.
But I will say, if you're gonna live an unapologetic life and you're gonna like be true to who you are, you should expect that people are going to judge you.
Yeah,
You're gonna have trolls,
right.
and like that just comes with the territory.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
So once you can make peace with that, when the trolls come and the hate comes, you kind of just are like, okay, it is what it is. Like you weren't
Right.
shocked that it came.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. And I remember like the first time I felt haters, I was actually like, oh my God, I've made it. But then the haters got a little bit more severe and I'm like, this sucks. This isn't cool. I don't like this feeling. But somebody super wise that I like went to with this recent haters issue, he was like, your perception of how mean people are being is much more significant than how mean they actually are.
Yeah, they're just on the whim,
Yeah.
like
And
off the cuff. They
yeah.
don't think about you.
Right. I know. All right. Yeah. So that was helpful. And I think, it's just really interesting to see, even just in doing like these podcasts, because it's like, on the surface, we're talking about so many different things. Over here, we're talking about feminine movement. And over here, we're talking about divorce recovery. And over here, we're talking about business. And like in actuality, all the themes are weaving together and it's all like the same at the core of it. So I think that's like really fascinating.
I think because you are the core tie.
Oh, Jen, dang, profound. All right. Well, I think with that, we will wrap it up because let's end on a high note.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on, Holly.
Thanks for being here, Jen.
Sure.
Thank you. So you guys know me by now. I've always got just a little bit more to say. And what I'm really noticing in doing these various podcast episodes is we're talking over here about feminine movement. We're talking over here about business. We're talking over here about divorce. And at the end of the day, all the themes are sort of weaving together. And it's really just about one thing, and that's being unapologetically yourself. That's welcoming challenges in your life and overcoming them and growing into a better version of yourself. So as always, remember this and remember you were made for more. And please like, comment, and subscribe.